This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the UK's #1 coral selling website, coral-auctions.co.uk and reefdork.etsy.com for all your 3D printed aquarium accessory needs. What's up, YouTube? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Prestige Reef Dork Show. This week, we are going to be talking about the top 10 criteria for selecting corals. So last week, we did the top 10 criteria for selecting fish. This week, we're doing corals. And I've realized as well that we've skipped an episode. We did a top 10 fish definitive list.
Yeah.
A top 15 corals definitive list. And we didn't finish off inverts. So next week we're going to do inverts.
Oh, that must be ages ago we did that.
It was ages ago because I realised this. Because the reason I realised that was because I looked back. I think top 10 criteria for selecting corals. I feel like we've talked about this before. Maybe we just had a chat at the pub or something, And I look back at all the episodes, and we have done this exact episode just over a year ago. And the one that we did last week, we did that as well. So
we put more effort in this time. And just don't go back and listen to the old one, and then it won't matter.
Well, I've completely run out of ideas now. I'm just going to recycle everything. Just going to start over again. So,
people, listen. That is Alex saying, "Give us ideas, and we will consider them." We're not going to do everything that people consider, but suggest.
You can always give me ideas, but yeah, I did. I said the other day I tuned in very quickly to a live stream, and it was in subscriber only mode. And I was trying to work out, members only live stream close. No, I was trying to work out how to do that before. I like that because then only subscribers can comment. And that just kind of means that it kind of, you don't get so many comments, I think. So we're more likely to pick up on comments. But, and you can subscribe. You can just, if you want to comment, just subscribe. So It's not much of a barrier. You just have to wait 5 minutes, but I can't find it. I'll figure it out next week. Anyway, Ryan, how are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. We were both ill last week, weren't we?
Yeah, both.
I feel like we've both just about recovered this week, almost.
Yeah. It's just like, so I was never really properly ill. Everybody's got it at the moment, just like COVID or a cold or whatever. And a few people in my office were off work sick. I was fine. I didn't go into the office, but I was working.
Yeah.
But I've just kind of just been like, and I'm like 99% done now, but still just.
For me, it's been more like demotivating than anything else. When you don't feel okay, you don't want to like go and take a load of pictures and put them on. Yeah. So this is the first week since the auction site has started, which there are some corals for me on the website that are between like now and 9. But they're just what didn't sell last week. So this is the first time which I actually haven't put up new corals. And you think that would be the time that you've got loads of time, you're just lying around. But you just don't feel like doing anything, do you?
How did you do that then? Was that on...
There's a relist button.
No, I mean, but I thought that you had a break when Aqua was on, but you must.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I did have a break when Aqua was on. So
right, okay. But either way,
he's fact checking me now. So, exactly. but yeah, so I just, with regards to the coral farm, I've done like the bare minimum. I did find the water box this today. I woke up and I'm surprised I didn't realize this. And it's lucky that it's only got one coral in it. Well, actually, there's now 2 corals in there because I put a Trachyphilia in there as well. Okay. The auto top up had like come, basically the pump has like a little tube that sticks into it. The tube had come out. So obviously the auto top up was saying put water, or I'm going to put water in, but no water's actually going into the tank. And eventually it just turns itself off, doesn't it? Yeah. And I didn't hear that or notice. There was no bubbles, nothing. And then this morning I was like, why is the water like 2 inches below the normal line? It's because the tank and the sump were completely separate. They weren't even connected anymore, right? Okay. Which was how long it had been. The bubble period must have been through the night where I didn't notice it, and it had stopped in the morning. So I had to put a ton of RO in. The fish are fine. They were like, they're not overly worried about like changes in salinity that much.
It's
No, they don't. Like some fish can go to like really well. Obviously, if you've ever done hypersalinity, it can go really really low, can't it?
Yeah.
So they were fine, although it wouldn't have been hyper. It would have been obviously too much salt. And the corals seem to be doing fine as well. So I just wonder sometimes, like why are they fine when sometimes when things are going normal, like things die.
So I'll give you the opposite story to that, or not the opposite story, but a different version. So the same thing happened to me. Similar. I turned off my auto top off the other week.
Yeah.
And I forgot to turn it back on.
Okay.
And I only realised when I just heard
I didn't get that.
Yeah, which was the return pump sucking in air.
Yeah.
Because the water level had dropped. So I think it had been 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
I didn't test the salinity actually. I should have done to see what it had gone up to. But I over the course of the next 48 hours, I just put water back in basically.
Yeah.
RDI until it was back up to where it should be.
Yeah.
And everything, to be fair, everything's fine. You wouldn't actually notice, except for one gonny.
Okay.
Enough to piss that gonny off. It's
Yeah.
not completely retracted, but it's like these tiny little tufts sticking out, and it's been that way for like a week now. Just that event, it just pissed it off, and it's like, no, that's it. Yeah, I'm going to be. It's either going to be like that for 6 months before it comes,
Yeah.
or that's it. It's just gone.
Yeah. I know what you mean. See, I didn't do that, which it's like don't do as I do. They say do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
So I did. Because obviously the RO container is literally just a turn of a valve now, so it took me like 30 seconds to fill it back up, which is probably not the best thing to do. But I knew that I wouldn't have any issues with regards to the stuff that's in there. The only thing I might have been concerned about was the trachea, but if it had even like mildly shrunk
up, was this in the water box? Sorry, did you say?
Yeah.
So there's oh, you've got corals in there.
No, I have one trachea in the water box because for some reason I like to try the most risky corals first with them and then work backwards. So I did wonder if the multi-bar might start like having a go at it, but didn't even notice. Not all the fish look at it at first. Whenever you they're like, is this food? And they start pecking the base of it, like it has a hard skeleton. But like half an hour later, they're not interested.
Yeah.
So I think I've got away with tracheas before with the king eye, so I think I could probably get away with it.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe. It might be one of those things where you get away with it for like 6 months and all of a sudden you come down and they're all eaten.
Yeah, exactly. So I keep thinking about adding a flame angel to my tank.
Look, I would if I were you, but I like the risk, don't I?
But it's ram-packed full of LPS. That's the trouble. But I don't know. I think it might be worth the risk, and just if he does start pecking on stuff, fish him out.
Yeah, or take the coral that he is eating out, because they usually only eat one, or it's not like they eat everything. Like they're not going to go for your frog spawns and stuff like that. But you might struggle with acans, for example. So or
that's the thing. I've got enough fleshy corals that are the sorts of corals that fish like that eat.
Yeah,
that I just wouldn't want to take out.
Have you ever had a flame?
No, never.
I think you might be surprised that you'll put it in and then you'll go, well, it's not eating anything.
Yeah.
But you might also not be surprised, and they're one of the hardest fish to catch.
People have told me that before, though, and it's totally fine. No, don't want to fuss about it. You put a fish in, and it's just like
yeah. So, no, I know. You're talking about the Moorish idol, aren't you?
The Moorish idol, yeah, like half a dozen other fish as well. So
it's funny because you don't really. I wouldn't say you take massive risks with regards to the fish you put in.
So I used to in my SPS tank. I was more risk in there because it's less maybe that's less risk.
One of my regular customers sent me a message after the live stream saying, "Do not get pyramid butterflies. I have had many or few in his tank, and they ate everything." Really? So they're one of the ones that are known for. The people go, "These are reef safe." It's one of those like things which is like a definitive stamp, isn't it? Yeah. Like you'll never say that about a copper band or a long nose.
No.
But everyone says pyramids 100% fine. But apparently not.
Funny, the 3 I had before, that they were good as gold in my tank. I probably had them 6 months, didn't touch anything, and I had loads of LPS in there. But the guy who bought them off me, he messaged me. Oh, I think I asked him like a year later or something, or 2 years later. I think he might have bought corals. I can't remember. I just asked him, and he said that they went for I can't remember if they ate all of his corals or some or something, but they went rogue. So
it's interesting because, as I said, that like I would have absolutely. Some of these myths that we believe are like just not true. I think sometimes.
Well, yeah, and fish don't read books at the end of the day, do they?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's a fact as well. You can look that up.
Yeah, there are facts here.
Some. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I keep thinking about the pyramid butterflies. There's a guy or there's someone on Instagram. I can't remember what the tank is called. I don't really pay much attention to Instagram.
Yeah.
But there's someone on Instagram with a really nice tank full of LPS corals, and they've got pyramid butterflies, and they look really cool. But I know what pyramid butterflies look like in the flesh, and they're not as bright as they look in this person's tank. So I don't know if it's just a camera setting or whatever. But so I just think, and I didn't like them before, so don't do it.
I'm not a massive fan of them myself personally.
Do you know, what I really want is something bright and yellow, because I've only really got my yellow rat in there.
Long nose. Just as risky.
Yeah, I know. I did identify a fish the other day. I actually went looking for it yesterday, but I couldn't find one.
Addis butterfly.
Oh, mate. Reef
I've always wanted one.
I would, yeah. And actually, I saw a couple of them recently that weren't too big. Normally, they're massive, aren't they?
No, you do. Sometimes you get small ones.
I've not seen them before, but
I have many times considered putting one in the water box, but again, like that's an almost like the more you add, the more you're seriously significantly increasing the risk. And I think with regards to the Addis butterfly, that's like too much risk for me.
Yeah.
And I'm a risk taker.
Yeah. They're stunning. That is always, whenever you click on the photo, and I always look on here for the best photo, and I see the best photo and I click on it. It is always quality marine.
Yeah.
Such good photography.
It's actually the most accurate photo as well, because
exactly. Yeah.
It is with that picture you just showed. Then it is true that the blue is more. It's not like a patch of blue. It's like more on the eye. Yeah, it's like more faded. I've noticed anyway.
Okay.
Than and I think that's an accurate picture of them. Whereas if you look at some of the other ones, it's like a really deep dark blue, isn't it? There.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so they're a guaranteed coral eater, I would guess. I've never had one again, but I just wouldn't.
But again, what types?
Well, what type of corals?
Yeah,
LPS for sure. I would like that's the sort of fish that I would be confident would eat my LPS. Would eat something.
Does anyone in the chat have one? Because
you never see. Tell us if you've got them, but you never see them in tanks. I've seen one, which was the Tunsey guy. It had a few in his. I think it was a fish only tank.
He had a big, massive ones, didn't he?
Okay.
Yes, I was trying to think what tank I'd seen them in. Yeah.
But you never see them otherwise. So let's play a game then, Ryan, because it's it's a bright yellow fish.
Yeah.
What else do you? It's not a butterfly fish. What else do you think it might be? I don't. It's not a one that's going to eat corals.
Oh, you've got one.
No. I went looking for one, and I'm going to get one when I can.
So bright yellow fish. So it's not a lemon peel. And obviously yellow wrasse are bright, but I don't think you like them very much.
What? I love it. Got one already.
Oh, I thought you didn't like them very much. I thought you said because they turn pale as they get older.
Do get a bit pale when they're older, but you get years of bright colour.
Yeah.
Not yellow.
Was that it?
No.
You got obviously a yellow tang, but I don't think that's what you're going to get.
Nope. Getting warmer.
There's the fox face low.
Yeah, getting colder.
So it's not a tang. How is it warmer to a tang, but colder for a fox face?
Well, I'm just going to tell you because
that means it is a tang.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a carrot. You're getting a Caribbean blue.
No.
Oh,
Caribbean blues aren't bright yellow, or are they?
They are. When they're juveniles, they are like the brightest yellow.
But no, not.
They're my favorite fish, or one of my favorite fish, anyway.
Keep come on, tang boy.
So if it's not a yellow, if it's not a yellow tang, there's yellow. I'm out of ideas.
This guy's got it.
Oh, yellow mimic tang.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. I've got one of those. It's basically brown now.
Have you? The thing is, I love the way they look when they're adults.
Really?
I think they look really cool.
Why?
They just do. They just got just brown and yellow. They're kind of, I don't know. They're really. I saw who was it? There was someone I saw who had one in his tank. Maybe it was a tank tour I did recently. And it's just so.
I'm just
cool.
Googling. Yeah, they're mainly. I've got one, but I just wanted to clarify. They're just mainly brown, I would say.
Let me have a big mimic lemon peel tang. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, man. I love that.
Yeah, I think they look better as juveniles. Do you know? I'm like, I know
Give me
you
one
know
of
the
them.
reason why
Give me
they're called
that.
mimic, why they're called mimic tangs. But would you like to share with everyone why they're called mimic tangs?
Well, so this is a mimic of a lemon peel angelfish, which is
Correct.
so that there are two, or there's probably more, but there are two that I'm aware of mimic tangs.
There's
One
three
is
I know of.
okay, one is the Abley
Yeah,
angelfish. The other is the lemon peel. What's the third?
the half black.
Oh, okay, there you go.
There's a half black angel and a half black mimic.
Yeah.
Does the juveniles have blue eyes? You know, like the blue, like the lemon peels.
I can't remember.
I think they do. I think you had a picture up then. I think, but I think
I'll get it back. They don't. So they're not as awesome as they're not a proper. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, lemon peel. Yeah, they do have blue. They
yeah,
don't look as good
and the blue gill cover. Yes. See, isn't
they
this
don't
insane?
look as good as lemon peel angels. Though.
Think about this though. This like blows my mind whenever I think about it. That has evolved to look like another fish.
Yeah.
Like so perfectly that it's mimicked its eye and gill cover. So, like, how has that happened? I know it's like
there are two other tangs that have gone. That's a great idea. I'm going to mimic an angelfish as well.
That's true. I wonder if they all come from like the same, like
yeah,
have one ancestor, or if they all come from the same regions. Yeah. Or if they just come, if it's just by chance they happen to do that. Yeah. I know, look, lots of things mimic things, but it's just, and I kind of understand, like, something that mimics a rock because then the offspring of that is going to be more likely to survive because no one's eating rocks. Yeah. But to mimic another fish, supposedly based on how aggressive that other fish is, that is just crazy.
Yeah. You get filefish mimicking pufferfish as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to eat him. So.
As I said, mimicking your environment is impressive, but it's not as impressive as mimicking another species, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Because you can kind of see how mimicking an environment would work, but I don't see how mimicking another species would work.
Magic or science, one of the two. Hard to say.
If you think about it, it must be just like chance. It must be just luck that one day one of the fish had a bit of blue on it, and all the predator fish went, stay away from that one. That was an angelfish.
I'm not sure you understand how evolution works. If you think that happened one day,
like I know what you mean.
Decided, I'm going to be blue today.
No, it was just there was obviously a genetic mutation, which obviously for whatever reason kept that fish alive and was able to produce offspring. I know how evolution works.
I wonder how that works because obviously, like evolving from like an amoeba into an elephant takes quite a while. But evolving from whatever they were before into a fish that looks slightly different. I wonder if that's 1,000,000 years, 1,000 years.
And what is the other? What was the other thing? Yeah. Like what was the original? Yeah. Probably just a yellow one.
Just a yellow acanthurus type.
We talk about all sorts of nonsense on here. Sometimes we get very like in deep with the talking about science that we know nothing about.
Yeah, exactly. Speculating about basic science. But they're very cool. Which tank are you planning on putting it in, Alex? Well, the one behind me is dry, so
probably not that one.
I think they're better in water than air. So probably I was unnecessarily sarcastic, wasn't it? And I apologize. But in the Red Sea Reefer. So I only have that's the only tank I've got running at the moment. The one so actually you might notice that suddenly my image, my room is brighter again because I've put a light above the cade.
That's you now using it's a Red Sea light, isn't it? For your backlighting.
Yeah, exactly. This is so I've decided I want to do more product reviews, and I've emailed 3 companies and said, do you want to send me X thing to review? That's one of them. They've sent me the Gen 2 because I only have the Gen 1 on my tank. So they've sent me the Gen 2 and I really like it.
I look forward to the review that says, is it excellent as a backlight?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's brilliant. It's amazing as a background for a YouTube studio. But yeah, so that's just at the moment, that's just set up over there. I'll put it over my main tank at some point, but I just set that up today just because I wanted it to be a bit bright. So but yes, I can't remember where we were going. But
I know you were telling us. I think that you'll be disappointed with that fish long term.
Why? Because it goes boring, or
I think you're someone who's quite specific about colors and what you want in your tank, and I think that like you got the Japanese angelfish, and because it doesn't show as how other people see it because of the black background of your tank, I think is it or no, maybe it's either the black background or the blue lighting. One of the two.
It's got nothing to do with this, the fish.
No, but I don't think it is.
It looked the same in your tank.
I know. And we got the same black background. As I said, I don't think that
It's
background
not the background.
is
It's not the background. 100% not the background.
Either it's the background or the lighting, I think.
It's
Do you just think you just happen to have got a lesser coloured fish?
Yeah, it's exactly.
I don't think it is. And my one, I think, looks brighter than yours because my lights are whiter than yours.
It's not that at all. So it's not that. It's the fish.
I don't know. I said I've seen a few of them now, and they all look exactly the same.
I've seen some recently because that was the first one I'd seen in a long time.
Yeah,
and I've seen a couple since then as well. And the couple that I've seen since then look different to my one and different to what I had in mind in first place. It's not lights. I'm telling you, it's not lights or the background.
So the areas I thought that is because when you look at the male, which is in the coral farm, in the water box, looks amazing. Like because of the whiter light, the real gold face comes out. In the coral farm, you barely even notice it. It just looks like a blue fish.
Yeah.
Or like a grey fish because of the blue coloration on it.
You're
and that's why I wondered. But
no, I don't really run very blue lights. During the day, they're very white. No, it's definitely not the lighting. Definitely 100% not that. It's just the fish. So, but no, the thing is, I do get bored with stuff generally, like in life. Like if I buy something, there's a 50% chance I'm going to sell it and replace it in 6 months' time, no matter what it is.
We are like so opposite.
I know, yeah. It could be anything. It doesn't matter if it's a fish, a car, a TV, a phone, whatever. There's a good chance I'm going to be like, oh, actually, I don't like that anymore. So.
Well, we shall see. But I am, as I said, I think you'll like it as a juvenile because they are bright yellow. But I think as it gets older, you'll go,
Not impossible. I'll definitely like it. But I love them. The thing is, I've seen they go in. They're not. It's not just when you wake up one morning and now it's got its adult colours. They're kind of like 50 shades of grey in between, and there will be a period when it looks a bit drab. I'm sure, and there'll be a time when its adult colours aren't quite coming through, and it might be 6 months or a year, whatever. So there'll be a period when I'm like, I'm not that bothered. But for the most part, I like their juvenile colours and I like their adult colours. So
I think also, it depends on what other fish are in the tank. Because if it's the nicest, most interesting, most active fish, you'll go, I love that fish, it's amazing. If it's like, if there's other fish which are more interesting than it, you'll go, you know what I mean? If you're comparing them against each other.
Yeah, I just want something yellow because I don't have anything really bright in my tank, and I want more bright fish. So that's the main thing. I might get other fish as well, but that's it. Yeah.
You didn't fancy a yellow tang then?
I thought about a yellow tang, but I just really like the mimic tang. I think they're quite a lot cheaper than a yellow tang as well. To be fair.
Yeah, they are.
That's to be fair. If I wanted a yellow tang bad enough, I'd pony up. But you give me the choice of a 50 quid tang that I love or a 400 quid tang that I think is all right.
Yeah, true. True. Seems like the right.
If it was the other way around and this one was 400 quid, I might struggle to justify it. I think I'd probably just go like, you know what, yellow tang's a cool fish, 50 quid. I'll have that. But
no one seems to know what the price of yellow tangs are anymore. I don't think they're £400 anymore. I don't know. I actually genuinely don't know.
No idea.
But they might be.
Yellow. I think you can get them for like £1,000 on. I was looking at them on a biz the other day. I'm sure there was some that were 200 quid and some that were. Here we go. So yellow tank bred, 200, 400.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can still get wild ones occasionally. Because they're not actually all. There are some that aren't from Hawaii.
Yeah, I think Japan. Maybe, but I'm not sure I'm not saying that's where they came from.
Out of stock, to be fair, but £1,000 for a wild collected, and 200 to 400 for a captive bred.
Yeah, trust me, there's no difference. I don't see any difference between the captive bred and the wild caught. Not originally, yes, but not so much anymore.
No, they've kind of worked out, haven't they? I would 100%. I'd prefer the smaller one anyway, but I would absolutely get a wild
because I don't ever go to the fish shops. It's like, it's crazy. Like I just genuinely have no idea the price of a yellow tang, and it appears that they seem to range vastly as well. If you look in the comment section, 250, 350, 350, 250, 300. It's like, and there's one there saying 229. So they seem to, they're one of those fish where like most fish have like a standard price, but yellow tangs seem to be like all over the place with their pricing. And it's been like that for like 2 years now, I think.
Yeah. They're funny, aren't they? I think the supply isn't steady either.
No, it's
I don't
not.
see them in shops regularly.
It's because obviously they have to breed them, so it just depends. And remember, like the people that are breeding them, I think is maybe just a couple of companies. So like they've got to supply the whole world.
Yeah.
So that's why there's it's just supply and demand, isn't it?
Supply and demand. Someone has asked a question about something we talked about last week, and I've lost the question. But it was about what do we think of the Red Sea G3 tanks? Go and look at the news from last week, because we discussed it last week in the news. Yeah, that's a lot of money for it. I was thinking that today, actually, how expensive fish are, just generally. Even I was looking at, I'm doing a video on for the main channel on like the top 10 best fish or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, actually, it's probably useful if I include price in dollars and pounds sterling.
Yeah.
And at that point, you start to realize. So even some fish, they're like 50 quid for, I can't remember which one it was. There was, I think it was a blenny of some kind. It was 50 quid. And I just suddenly thought, that's a lot of money, actually. And we would think that's cheap, right? If you see a fish 50
for
quid.
a fish, yeah.
I'll buy it, no problem. I'll buy that. No, you don't even blink twice, do you? But actually, what the reason I got thinking was because there was a fish when I had freshwater tank. One of the fish I wanted more than any other fish was a Adolphoi corridora. Do you know what that is?
I know what a corridor is, but I don't know what a Adolphoi one is. They like go along the ground, don't they?
Yeah. So they're very similar, to be fair, to a normal corridora. These kind of things.
Yeah.
But if you get groups of them, so if you get like a dozen, they all scoot round together. They're really cool. And actually, a normal corridora it's very similar color. It's just a bit more boring.
Yeah.
But these things, they used to be. I can't remember how much they were. It was over 10 years ago that I was looking at these. But I remember thinking, oh my God, I'd need to spend like 70 quid to get a half a dozen of them or something. And I looked them up recently, and they're like 10 quid each. And that was a really expensive fish in the freshwater world.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like 30 quid each or something. Whereas now, like if I see a fish that's 10 quid, I'm thinking, well, what's wrong with it? You know?
Yeah, no, I know. I saw something on the news yesterday, actually. I'm not sure what news channel it was, but it was about the aquarium trade in America. And it was about, are you laughing the same thing that I was laughing at a second ago?
I'm laughing at freshwater.
Okay, no, that wasn't what I was laughing at.
What
Okay,
are you
fine.
laughing
at? Chris wrote, I bought a purple rash for 18 quid. And I thought to myself, you might get that checked out. But it's meant to say wrasse, I think.
Yeah.
On the news, they were talking about the aquarium trade, and they were talking to shops, and some of the shops are not selling saltwater fish anymore because of the tariffs. So,
in America?
Yeah. So it's actually significantly affected some people because it just pushes the amount, so it's way too high.
Right. God.
Is what they were. That's what they were saying that 99% of equipment comes from outside of America. Yeah. Except Ecotech stuff. So they don't have any tariffs. So think about it. And most of the fish as well. No, well, basically all of the fish, unless it's being captive bred, but pretty much all of them. So they I don't know how, if this was just a couple of fish shop owners, I think. I don't know how if it's across everywhere and if they weren't really doing that much marine anyway, but they were basically just saying, look, it's unsustainable now because of those tariffs as well. So, and I just wonder if America are like the biggest market for, or one of the biggest markets, so usually America and China are some of the biggest markets for for saltwater fish, basically, then that must have a knock-on effect to us. It has to, because all of a sudden the people catching the fish are not earning as much money. So either they put the cost of our fish up because of the tariffs in America, or they've lowered the cost of our fish to try to sell as many as possible. Do you see what I mean? I don't know what the effect is.
If it's the latter, that's not going to be long term, because they'll just be like, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. So
yeah,
I would expect it to get more expensive, if anything. But
you start to
yeah,
realize how fragile the trade is sometimes. You do start to realize, and how, because it's a global trade, everything affects everything.
Yeah,
like what happens in it all over the world can affect us directly.
So there've been a couple of things. So Indonesia shutting down, that was massive. That
Yeah.
and suddenly Australia's got to ramp up supply and all that sort of stuff. That was a big deal. That shut down for what, 2 years? A long
Yeah,
time,
it was
wasn't it?
2 years.
I look really orange today, by the way. I think it might be my white balance overcorrecting for the light. Anyway,
It looks like you got a suntan. It actually looks good for you. you look healthier than usual.
That's not how I look at the moment. Anyway, but the other thing was Hawaii shut down as well. It's still shut down, or mostly anyway. So there's just a couple of choke points like that, and then suddenly big impact. And those are relatively minor, actually, despite being still quite significant. But yeah,
there you go. Ecotech have parts made in China, so it still has tariffs. There you go.
Yeah, completely. But it's I don't know how that works. I presume they just pay tariffs on the cost of the parts or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I assume the parts are more expensive, so they have to pass them on to the customer. I don't know if they've changed their prices or not. So remember, there's no facts here.
No, there aren't any. No, there aren't. Fair enough. But yeah. All say don't like it. Don't like prices going up. Thank you very much for anything. Oh, actually, that's a point. So the tariffs changed at my Etsy store as well. So because of the way the tariffs work, Etsy cut off postage to the United States. So I had to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Because there used to be a de minimis rule. I think it was less than, I don't know, $100 or whatever. You don't pay any tariffs. But they've taken that away now, and all of my stuff is less than $100.
Yeah.
But so Etsy stopped doing it. But now I've worked out a way to. It's a bit of a pain. It's a bit more admin for me. But I've worked out a way to do it so I can sell to the US. So I am now, and it's not. You won't get a nasty surprise. You won't get a bill 2 months down the line saying import duty paid.
Yeah.
I pay the import duty when I buy the postage. That means it's really difficult for me to calculate how much postage. Well, it's impossible for me to calculate how much postage will be. So what I've tried to do is set it at the halfway point. So I end up paying half, the buyer pays half, roughly. But there'll be some days I win, some days I lose. So, but there you go. I wasn't going to advertise and actually announce it because I just want to see how it goes. But you can now, because I stopped it for a while. But you can now buy from Morocco. What else have you been up to? What have you been doing? Have you had a busy week? I feel like
I've done literally sod all week this week. I've got to the point where, because I've been in the house for so long, I was fed up and I just had to go out. But I went out. Wow. Yeah, I went to Maidenhead in Crawley yesterday. To be fair, I was going to Crawley to go pick something else up, and I just popped in on the way out. So yeah, I actually left the house. So
God.
Yeah,
how was it?
It was. I didn't know that there are other people that exist outside of you and Rachel, but it's funny because I do actually like staying in the house, but after a couple of days, I'm like I'm like fed up, and I literally cannot stand it. Where you get like cabin fever. Well, after like 5 days, I was like really, really like not good.
Well, today has been proper miserable in the UK. Just kind of overcast and grim and raining.
I wonder if that is what's having the effect. I wonder if it's a combination, obviously, of being ill, but also the fact that it's now getting cold and dark and it rained today, and I think that affects your mood. And I cannot get out of this like funk of just going. I don't want to do any work. The thing is, I only get paid if I do work, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So and I am only accountable to myself.
Yeah.
So if I'm sick, I don't earn any money. And if I don't want to do if I can't motivate myself to work, I don't earn any money. So, and the problem is this week has been like that. So I need next week to be like a big week.
Yeah.
To try to like motivate myself again to get back into it. Yeah. But I've got I'm going to draw a line of this week and start next week and be like, right, straight, tequila fixes it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Is your skimmer issue being fixed? I
told you it had. It hasn't. I even sent you evidence that it has. Someone sent me an idea. They sent me a text message, and I thought this might actually work. About how I don't really understand how
because it was
skimmers
just
work.
to recap for people who weren't there. It was just there was no froth. It was just boiling over effectively, wasn't it?
Yeah. So basically, the skimmer is just like it produces like a really thin line of bubbles. You know how your skimmers like will be like that. So it's like all bubbles.
2 inches of bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've changed the skimmer, so it's nothing to do with the settings of the skimmer. I've changed the one that was working and put it into the one that's not working. It's something to do with the water. And it just blows my mind that is actually a thing. So but someone sent him a text message saying, have you any stray voltage in that tank? Because supposedly this is what I was told, and I kind of half knew this, but I'm not sure if I'm explaining it correctly. The bubbles attract the crap to them basically, and that's what there's static or whatever. Anyway, turn all of the power off except the skimmer and see if it works. And miraculously, it worked. But only
started frothing again.
Yeah, and I sent Alex a video going, look, I cannot believe it. This is actually working. And I sent him a video of it, and you replied saying nice froth or something like that. Then I was like, why would I send him a picture of
I know I did.
working?
It was very unlike you.
And then after 20 minutes, it just stopped working again. It went back to, and I'm like, what has changed?
It's not the skimmer pump leaking stray voltage.
No, well, that doesn't make sense. And then so what I did is I left it all off for ages, and I turned it all off again, and it started working again. And then I left it off for ages, and they started turning things on one at a time. Nothing would stop it from working, and then again half an hour later, and it's almost like a build up to it, if you see what I mean. And it's one of those things where I just cannot wrap my head around what the problem is. So what I did is I took out anything that's non-essential. So I don't use my I got some NIOS reactors, but because I'm dosing lanthanum chloride now, I don't use them. But they were still on, and they were still working. So I took everything like that I took out because I had 2 in each tank. So it's definitely working better than it was, but it's not working like the other one's working, and the other one obviously is the one that wasn't working before. So in answer to the question, is it fixed? No. Am I like 10% closer? Possibly, but we'll see.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't want to buy a new skimmer because it's not the chances are it will just even with a different brand, the chances are it will just be exactly the same, because when I swapped it with a brand new skimmer, it did the same thing.
Yeah, weird.
But that's what this hobby's about. And at some point, I'll work out what it is. I sent ICP tests off. Nothing of interest.
Yeah.
Nothing that was drastic. I am quite low on certain elements, which I am going to... I've ordered a load of elements because I need to now. Things like strontium, I think actually are of some significance. And I don't think it was to do with that. I just thought when I did the ICP test, I thought, yeah, it's time to fix some of these things. Because you never know. Maybe, remember I said that I had an issue, although it still doesn't really apply. Remember I had the corals where in the top tank that they would die, and in the bottom tank they were fine, hystrix. And I couldn't work out what that was. Still a mystery. Again, I've had people make suggestions. Some people saying the tank above might be 5 degrees hotter than the one below because of the lights. I tested it. They're not. They're exactly the same. Don't do that face. I want people to make suggestions.
Yeah, I'm suggestions, but
someone will come up with the answer. Yeah. But and when they do make suggestions, I go and test it. I'm like, is there? Because I always test the temperature of the bottom tank because it's the one closest to me. I never do the top one, but I tested both of them. They're exactly the same. So I don't know. It's one of those mysteries, but when I work out what it is, it's going to give me the most tremendous boost of dopamine. I'm going to be like, this is amazing. And that's why I love this hobby, because it's most fun when it's going slightly wrong.
Yeah.
Not mega wrong, but slightly wrong.
Yeah. It's most fun when it goes right, having had a brief period of...
Yes, yeah.
I could live without stuff going.
But the other thing it's making me do is making me I'm testing all. I'm cleaning all my MP40s. So
Wow.
I'm just getting everything to go right. Let's rule this out. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with. There was no metals in the tank anyway, so
So it's making you a better aquarist.
Yeah, because you start to try to like cross out everything that it could be. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'll get there, and at some point, I'll let you all know.
Exciting! I can't wait. I was talking about last week about my woes with my random flow generators.
Oh yes. Oh yes, yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Have you written a strongly worded letter yet?
No, I just returned them. I just they don't fit, so I just returned them. But what I decided in the end was I had two options. I could go and find another one, or do what you suggested and print them myself.
Yeah.
So I printed them myself.
There you go.
And these are they. They're the perfect size. I had to the adapter at the base there. I had to adjust that myself, so it fits my tank. And the nozzle itself is from some French bloke on Thingiverse. And if you want to find it, you can go on to printables.com, search random flow generator, and you will find one with an adapter that fits a 23 millimeter pipe. So you can find that's free. You need to print it yourself. I can't sell it because it's not my design.
Yeah, but you adjusted it. Does that not make it your design?
You're not allowed. No, you're not allowed. So because I've adjusted, it's someone else's design, but I can't sell it, but it's free if you've got a printer.
That's true.
So there you go. You can go and find that. So
how different does it have to be to become your design? Like that
no
person
idea.
is not the person who invented that.
True.
If you see what I mean. So how different does it have to be to become your design?
No idea, but all I did was change the diameter of the base, basically.
Yeah.
This is not a significant change. I'd rather not take the piss, basically.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I was just genuinely interested. Like, what are the rules? I don't know the rules, so
don't know.
There you go.
But there we go. And also, actually, for the first, I've had my channel running for 8 years now, roughly, something like that. And up until recently, if you click on the channel, it'll do the little description. It will tell you what it's all about, all that sort of stuff. And it's just the pulsing xenia that's around this live stream, right?
Yeah,
that's just been there the whole time because I couldn't be asked to make a proper channel banner. I finally made.
I saw this. I saw this.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Videos, live streams, podcasts, bang. And that was an AI generated photo, actually. So the bit with me in the tank is normal, but all of this brick on the left hand side didn't exist. So I made it generate as if it was.
But you hate AI.
I hate AI for 99% of stuff, but every now and then it's good at some things. If you're looking to it for education or to show you how to do something, yeah, I'm sure it's going to be right sometimes. But it just when it goes wrong, it goes so wrong.
Yeah,
and it just causes so many problems. I hate it. But yeah, for that sort of thing, it was great. And even then, it took me bloody ages to get that right because every time I said generate this, it was like I think I'll make it look, and it just went really.
You're on the left, then you're on the top, then it gave you hair, then
exactly, yeah. But because so you can see where I'm leaning on that cabinet, right?
Yeah.
So the first time I did it, it decided I must be sat down and crouching down. So it put my legs underneath, and that cabinet, it just thought that was a table. So I looked like this really weird bloke with dodgy legs and that. And actually, it did. I've cropped out, but it made my hand underneath that in the bottom right corner.
Yeah.
And normally AI is terrible at hands, but it actually did all right. It was my fingers looked a bit spindly, but it was all right.
You have 8 fingers.
No,
just on each hand.
four and a thumb. Yeah. But that's all done. So, and the other thing, I've been doing a lot of 3D printing this weekend. And this was, again, you can find this on Printables. It's free. I'm not going to sell it. This was my design from the ground up, but it's so niche that I'm not going to bother selling it. I've mounted my Eheim dual auto feeder on my aluminium extrusion that I'm using to.
I saw that. I thought it was interesting because you don't usually like things above the tank, and that's like something quite significant above the tank.
That's different though because it's out of the way. You actually can't see that. So from the angle I sit, where you can see like half of it.
Yeah,
I've deliberately put it in a spot that you can't really see it, so it doesn't.
Oh.
And because before it was sat on the rim on my Euro brace, so it looked ugly. And I was at some point I was going to nudge it and tip it in.
Yeah, I've lost two that way.
Yeah, exactly. I've lost one of the single auto feeders before. They don't swim. They don't. If you even dip them in for half a second, it's dead. So I just wanted it out of the way. So now it's out of the way. Tank looks nice and clean, and I'm not going to knock it in. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about was that I've got the new light in for testing, which is the Reef 170. So this is the Gen. No, 115. It's the Gen 2 basically. It's the medium size one.
Is it any different to the other light?
So I mean, light-wise, the spectrum is supposedly slightly broader. Still quite a narrow spectrum, but it's slightly broader. I haven't had I turned it on like half an hour before the stream started.
Okay.
But the app's got some really cool features. So
that's what I was wondering, because companies often they bring out. Sometimes I feel like people feel like they need to bring out new products. And this is all companies. Like you have the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 is pretty much exactly the same as the Gen 1, but it's got like one extra blue LED. I'm not talking about Red Sea. Theirs is slightly different or whatever. Whereas if you look at like Tunzi and their auto top off, that was like bought out, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, and has never changed.
Years ago, actually, they
did they?
Completely changed it. But
did they? Oh god!
But that was the first change in years, and they won't change it again. They don't mess around. They're powerheads again. They don't.
But that's what I mean. You don't do, like, if it works, why do you need?
They get it right and they stick with it. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing. So this is an incremental upgrade. I already know some of the things I'm going to be saying about it. I've only just set up, but I already know that it's the sort of thing that, is it worth upgrading if you have an existing Gen 1 light? No. Is it worth buying if you were looking for the Red Sea in particular? Should you buy that over a second-hand Gen 1?
That's what I was going to ask.
I think yes, I would do.
Okay.
It depends. It's not going to be significantly better for your corals, but there's some really cool features in the app. But I've not had a proper play with it as yet, so
yeah,
I'll feedback. I was going to do an unboxing on the Reef Dork Extra channel. I don't know if it's worth it. I might still do, because there are some cool features on the what's it called?
You've already unboxed it.
Yeah, but I can rebox it, can't I?
Yeah, true. Get all the secrets here, aren't you?
Yeah, God, exciting stuff. But anyway, look, what we need to talk about now, Ryan, is, and I'm just going to make a note with a timestamp, 47:10. This is the definitive 10 criteria for selecting corals. Now, actually, it's going to be more than 10. I have 13. And you probably have, how many do you have?
12.
More a bit. 12. 25. This is the 25 criteria for choosing corals.
Some of them most of them will be the same, I reckon.
Probably. Actually, I looked down my list this afternoon, and I noticed I kept my list from last week for the fish. Actually, half of these are the same as
yeah, I noticed
they're
fish, similar.
So
yeah.
But kick us off, Ryan. What is your first criteria for choosing coral?
I'm going to kick us off in exactly the same way I kicked us off last week. Do you remember how I did that? Research.
No,
a coral that you have researched.
Yeah.
Because if you're buying something that you don't know the name of, or like you've done no research in, you're already like putting yourself against. You're up against, if you see what I mean. Because if you buy something like, I don't know, an ACAN, and you put it really high up in your tank and it prefers lower light, you're making it harder for yourself. So like I think this applies to so many, in fact, almost all aspects of the hobby, including what equipment you buy. I think
life,
yeah, true. But especially with the hobby, because it applies to this, and this is my one. So I basically, you don't have to do like years and years of research on it. I think corals are slightly different to fish. And I also think that sometimes
that's true. Second fact on the
I think look, the difference between fish and corals is corals usually don't cause you other troubles unless you get something like a Galaxia. Whereas if you put a fish in, it can significantly upset your corals, your like other fish, your like mental well-being,
family.
Yes. So I think fish need a lot more research than corals. And you shouldn't impulse buy them, but corals should. Look, there's a healthy level of respect that people should have them. These are living creatures. So even if it's just
the worst case scenario, if a fish purchase goes wrong, there's big problems. If a coral purchase goes wrong, you're probably going to lose the coral. That's probably it.
Yeah. It doesn't usually, even if it dies, it doesn't affect the rest of the tank. That within reason, the torch corals are one of those that can start to affect the rest of the tank when they go. And again, that's like all of the other things that we're going to talk about is basically the research is the combination of all of them. If you think about it,
100%, yeah,
including listening to this live stream. So you're all doing very well so far.
Excellent start. Well done. My first one is compatibility with your fish.
I've written that. I thought I did not think that you would get that one.
Which is like the opposite of reef safe with caution, but reverse engineering reef safe with caution. Because and this is not just like, obviously, if you've got just a whole shoal of threadfin butterflies, they're going to, or obligate corallivores, you know that they're going to eat your corals. But it's, I mean, really, it's things like if there's something in there, if it's like if you've got a regal tang and you're buying zoas or something, just fish that might eat something that might be a snack, or if you've got a flame angel and you want to try your hand with an acan or a blasto or a trachea or whatever.
I'm surprised that this is the one that you've gone for second, because it's the most niche one. Because most people,
I get way more niche than that.
I tell you, I think it's niche because most people, I would say 95%. This is just a guess. I'm just picking a random, really high number. When they have a reef tank, they pick fish which are only reef safe, I would say. And then there's 5% of idiots like us that go, I'm going to try it. They are the exception. Most people want an easy life. So how appetizing corals are is quite a niche one, I would say.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But but there you go. It's because you don't. The last thing you want to do is put a coral in your tank that just gets eaten by a fish immediately.
Yeah. So basically, if you've got an angelfish, don't put Dracophylias in with it.
Yeah, unless you're Ryan, in which case, crack on.
I obviously have somewhere else for it to go. That's the difference. Most people have to spend hundreds of pounds on a Dracophylia, then put it into their tank, and then if the fish starts biting it, where's it going to go? Maybe the sump, but it's usually nowhere. That's the difference.
My trachea is currently in my sump because it was, or both of them are, because it's maybe just a bit meh. But I think I've done a few things. I don't think they were being pecked at, and I've changed things now, and I think they've come back because of I did a 50% water change for a start. But they're now puffed up and looking. I almost sent you a photo the other day because it was looking so good. But I was like, you know what? I know it'll just take a piss out of me.
You're like, Ryan has seen many pictures of coral.
But I'm ready to put them back in my main tank now. So
I'm glad that you would consider it with that. By the way, I know that you would be able to, you can get away with it because
you sent me a photo of a bloody skimmer.
No, I know, but look, who else sends you a photo of a skimmer working?
No one, because they know
exactly.
Better. Yeah.
So whereas I get hundreds of pictures of coral.
But yeah, there we go. I spared you that. But it's really handy having a space in your sump that you can put.
I agree.
Stay out of the way. And that does mean that you're more likely to take a risk if you've got an angelfish and you're thinking, I just really want that trachea or acan or whatever. Then buy it. And then if it goes wrong, put it in your sump. Actually, in my sump, it's like a mini display tank. I've got that little plume rock that you gave me, the cocoa worms. They're not cocoa worms, the little fan worm type things.
Yeah, they are cocoa worms, aren't they?
Are they cocoa worms? I thought cocoa worms.
Oh, Christmas worms. Christmas worms. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So there's none of the pagarita crabs, and they're just the coolest things in the world. I would love one of them, but they're just little worms. But when you look at them in your tank, they look rubbish. But when you look at them close up, and they're like below the water surface, they're just so awesome. I love going down and scoping out the frag tank. Anyway, sorry. Criteria for selecting corals. What you got next?
Long-term growth, and I think this is probably something which affects people that have been in the hobby long-term more than people that are relatively new. If I said to you, would you put what's that Montepora? Would you put Tropic Thunder in your tank? Yeah.
Oh God.
You wouldn't do it because the long-term growth the long-term growth of it makes it not worthwhile. Whereas I believe that that's a really nice coral, and there's plenty of people that would buy it without ever because obviously when it's a little frag, you don't think of those things, do you?
Yeah.
So I think that, and especially when it comes to placing the coral as well.
Sorry,
I know why you're distracted
just trying
because
to delete a comment.
yeah.
It looks like it's a scam. Anyway.
I think long term. What was I saying? The placement of corals as well makes a massive difference because
Why? Whoa! Yeah, you're stealing off my.
long term growth and placement are the same thing.
Kind of, I suppose so. I put growth speed.
Yeah,
which is kind of the same thing. But you're exactly right, because if the tropic thunder grows like crazy, and actually, when you first set up a tank, all you want is fast growing corals, right? You're like, I just want it to be grown out. But actually, when you're 6 months later and it's taken, you've got pulsing xenia and it's taken over your entire tank. Suddenly you're like, and then you stop searching fastest growing corals and you start searching slowest growing corals.
yeah.
Sorry, and you were saying growth location or something. What was the other thing?
Oh no, as in no. So I was saying about
placement.
where you put it. Yeah, because if you're putting it on a rock which can attach to other rocks or near corals, this is what everyone does, and I am guilty of this myself. People put the frags like 1 inch from each other. When you see like a relatively new tank, it's like one coral here, an inch further away, an inch further away, and it's just one. And you just think in like a month's time they're all going to be touching each other, but hardly anyone like plans long term because it's painful to watch just one stick
with
in like a 6-inch space
rock between it.
Exactly. And I'm definitely guilty of that myself. To some extent, I think that you almost need that because to fill in the gaps, and then you can always just take. Like I can just take them out, can't I, and put them in the coral farm.
Yeah, this is true. I'm much better at that now than I was in the past.
Yeah.
And on my most recent aquascape for my Red Sea tank, I got this company called RR Aquascapes to build it, and I sent them a design. And I told them that because they'd done one for me before, they made a scape for me before, and the corals were a little bit close together. So I said I want it to be similar, but the corals to be twice as far apart, which means there's fewer spaces for corals.
Yeah.
But it means they've got more room to grow. And even then with that now, I'm thinking I probably should have gone for double again, the space.
Really?
More space you can, maybe, to be honest, I don't think I'd have, I want more corals in there.
You wouldn't have the variety if you'd done all that. So it's interesting.
You need an enormous tank then. But
that keeps you accountable if you think about it, because you can, you don't have to, but you only put them in the spaces which are available. And then which means every coral for you is like, I have to really want this.
Well, so it's especially like at first, no problem because I've got loads of space, got 100 spaces, just wang them in. But now I've only got half a dozen spaces left, and this is another one of my criteria later. But then I'm now like, well, actually, hang on a second. I've got 2 spaces on one corner, but to one side of that is a gunny, to the other side is a torch. So if I put anything else in there, it's probably going to get killed. If I put a torch in there, might it kill the gunny? And if I put a gunny in there, might it kill the torch? Do I put something encrusting in there? You've got to work out. At the end of the day, I think it's probably a lot of it is just buy it and see how it gets on. Because what coral warfare isn't always as bad as you think. And if a coral starts stinging another one, it'll just grow the other direction or whatever. But that is already a consideration for me now.
I think you're referring to SPS coral warfare. LPS are absolute bastards. You're going to say some gonnies can touch things and they like brush up against a Lobo or whatever, and it's fine. Although Lobo's probably a bad choice, but what usually happens, especially in the coral farm, every so often something will just absolutely kill something else, and it just doesn't happen in the SPS tray.
Oh no, totally. So I was actually thinking about LPS. I was thinking about my tank because SPS aren't so bad. They'll touch each other and then they'll have a fight and one might slowly take over the other, but it's very slow. But with LPS, it can sting it and then bang, half the coral dies. But I've got plenty of spaces in my tank where I've had an encrusting favia spreading over a piece of rock. A gunny has got bigger and bigger and bigger, so it stings it, and then half that favia dies, the other half it just grows the other direction. So I still want my tank to look grown out and look properly packed in. And I've just realized we forgot member questions. Ryan, you forgot member questions, so we'll come back on to that in a sec. Okay. But yes, so actually I think that you definitely need space and you need to think about aggression. But I quite like it when corals are just kind of next to each other, as long as they're
That,
not just going to literally.
that was my next one, aggression.
Aggression. I've got aggression as well. Aggression / space needed. I've put.
What I bet we both like. You'll know what I'm going to say. What is the worst coral for aggression?
I know what you're going to say. I've never had one. Galaxia.
Yes. It is without a doubt the worst coral for aggression, and it's actually a really, really nice coral. Like I got 2 different varieties. There's actually 3 different varieties of it, and people see. I know what nice corals are, not based on my opinion, based on when someone walks in the farm, they go, "Oh wow, what's that? It looks like lots of little mini torches."
Dragon fruit cyphastria.
Yeah, you like that.
But isn't that one of the corals that people come in and like, wow, that's bright?
The banana cyphastria. Oh yeah, no, that is one of them. The banana cyphastria, the stylosynelias, like the banana stylosynelias is one of them.
Value banana. Yeah.
But yeah, there's certain corals which people wear, and for some reason, Galaxia is one of the. It's usually people who don't know what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Galaxia puts a sense of impending doom in people, and it's fine to have Galaxia as long as you have it where the flow is like constantly pushing the polyps away from anything else. But if it's not like that, it can take up like a foot of space.
So is that because it's just the sweepers? Is it sweeper tentacles or just all tentacles or what?
They're the sweeper tentacles, as in like every tentacle on it is well long,
and they extend further out than most corals.
Yeah. Okay. They and it's not just that, they're also one of the corals which is like absolutely lethal. Like there's some corals where they're not too bad and they might minorly irritate each other. Galaxia is like, I win everything. Like it's like a heavyweight fighter in the coral world.
Yeah, okay.
Be interested to see what would happen if you put a Galaxia against a torch. I think the Galaxia would still win.
Yeah, really. Okay.
I'm not going to try it, but
no. Sometimes people ask, should I buy a Galaxia to put next to a coral that's taking over that I want to get rid of?
No.
And it's often zoas. Do you find they kill zoas?
I don't know. They're not. I don't have zoas close enough to them to know.
I bet they won't.
What I do know, 100% certain, I got a load of bubble tips right next to them. The bubble tips do not care. They're like, it's like nothing to them, which is interesting. Pun?
The Galaxia and the bubble tips.
Yeah. The bubble tips do not care about being stung by the Galaxia all day, every day. They just don't. And I just wonder if it's because they're not a coral.
Well, so I was going to say, so a zoa for me is closer to an anemone than it is a proper coral, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
trust me, if you're buying a Galaxia to try to help you with a coral which is growing too much, the Galaxia is more likely to cause the problem than the coral which is growing too much. So, yeah, people do ask that question quite often, and I don't think there is actually an answer to it, really. Because people go, "Oh, well, I've got a Montipora that's growing too much. Should I put a torch next to it?" I'm like, not really. You're just going to have a torch that's got loads of dead, bits of dead patches in it. Not a torch. The Montipora will have dead
exactly, because it doesn't like remove the entire coral. It stings bits of it, and so it looks minging, and then it'll sting it so it all bleaches and it goes white, and then it'll go brown with algae. And then there'll be little patches of half alive coral. It's just,
Yeah, corals to try to stop other corals generally don't work unless they're the same corals. Like you can surround zoas with other zoas and they'll stop that one zoa in the middle from growing. Not always, but sometimes. It depends which zoa it is.
Yeah, some zoas take over. What I've just realised is, and this is guaranteed way of getting your comment on the screen, is talking about my Etsy store. So Nelius Mike says he's got a Galaxia on one of my 3D printed frag holders from reefdork.etsy.com that it's stuck to the side of the glass. So
it's awesome. See that? You were like, really Galaxia, meh.
But if you put it on the back glass, it's got a ton of space. There's no corals anywhere near it.
Yeah, true. As long as they're like a foot away.
yeah. But yes, there we go. So all right, go on.
I'm always fascinated by these tanks when you see them and all the corals are touching, and it's usually like big LPS corals. And I'm like, how have you got it where all these big LPS corals are touching each other and none of them are dying? You know what sort of tank I'm talking about, don't you?
I do, and sometimes I wonder because sometimes an image like that it's been growing up over time and it's slow, and then suddenly a month later because corals don't always. Sometimes, like my Stenaria chalice, if that touches anything else,
I know.
immediately. It's
Yeah.
so that Stenaria is aggressive. But lots of other corals, they'll be touching each other. You'll be dreading it for months, and then finally they start touching each other. They grow into each other, and nothing happens. And you're like, oh, result, no problem. And then a month down the line, it turns out they've been fighting this ungodly war, and suddenly one gives up and folds and just puff. So I do wonder if that happens sometimes.
Yeah, I just it's more the ones where you see like scollies and trackies and things like that touching each other. I'm just like, is that allowed? I'm not willing to risk like doing it because both of them are expensive corals, so I don't want to test it. But when you see them, you're like, and then you see like gonnies that are like just casually stroking them at the same time, and I'm like, how are you doing this? Because I've seen it where gonnies have stung stuff. So how come your one's not?
Yeah.
So, but they're like miracle tanks. They're tanks the way you see them, and they're all like fully packed in you, and they work, but you don't know how.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
anything else to say on aggression?
Not really. Aggression sort of fits in with the same both sting, but also how quickly they grow. Because like Montipora is not aggressive, but it will grow over things, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a form of aggression.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. If you started growing over me, I would be angry.
I would be surprised as well.
Yeah. My next one is, does it fit with your tank? And for that, I've put, don't buy a coral that will that then. Hang on, that doesn't even make any sense. Don't buy a coral. Oh no, then change your tank to suit that coral at the detriment of others. So basically, like if you've got a tank that's set up for soft corals, all low light, for example, or LPS corals, all low light, and you're thinking, I'd really like that one acro, I'll just put that in there, see how it goes.
Yeah,
I'll put it in. I'll just turn the lights up. Just
I know.
Another 30%, and now I'll put all the flow up. Suddenly, you've got to realize that you've got everything has to be in harmony. So if you're doing something for one coral, whether it's changing all the lights, the parameters, whatever, that's not good. And it's the same if you've got one coral that starts flagging and starts dying. Don't go changing everything just to fix that. It's just, but don't, particularly with buying one, don't buy one coral that you're then going to destroy the rest of your ecosystem for.
Yeah, and I reckon there's more people would do that than you think think, because people go, oh, everything's fine except that one coral, so I'll just change it a little bit to make, and then everything else is not fine after that.
I am absolutely certain I've bought corals before, and I'd be like, you know what, I'm just going to change all my lights because of that, and especially turning lights up, and then everything else just goes.
I remember I said obviously about the Hystrix, which wasn't doing well in the top tank. I changed my lights based on that. But the lights were the same anyway. They were so it cannot be the light, but I changed them anyway.
Yeah.
So
you start doing stupid things, don't you? That it's not going to change, but you're just like,
it just doesn't make sense to me. And I like, if something doesn't make sense, it drives me crazy. I'm very logical. I like things to like everything fits in a place and everything has logic to it, and it just doesn't have logic. So, but I'll get there.
We'll get there eventually. What's your next one?
I've written your skill level, which I think is actually. Is it?
Well, kind of. My next one was, does it fit in with the kind of reefer you are?
So pretty much the same
kind of skill, but also if you're lazy AF, don't get and you haven't done a water change for 6 months, and you haven't tested for 6 months, and you're just like, you top up your auto top off once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't spend 500 quid on any coral.
No, I'll 100% with that. But I think
from prestigereef.co.uk, in which case have your film.
there's lots of people where they like, everyone wants to try acros, and I go, just don't. Like, why are you like? No, I'm talking about people where they don't test their water.
Oh, I see.
And like, you, like, by all means, if you do absolutely everything you need to do, try acros, But if you're not changing your water, on a regular basis, I know not everyone does this. I hate that I have to put these caveats in, where I'm like, if you're not doing a water change on a regular basis, and someone will go, I don't do a water change ever.
That tank tour I did the other day,
I know.
He doesn't do water changes,
but that was an amazing tank, wasn't it?
But that's because he knows what he's doing, and he's been doing it while.
But as a general rule,
Exactly.
if you're testing your water weekly and you're on top of everything and you're dosing, by all means try acros. If you're going to try them on a whim, just to go, I'll just give it a go.
My toadstool's been alive for 2 months. Let's step it up a notch.
Yeah, then it's probably not for you. And I think that one of the biggest issues with this hobby is that it's detrimental when things go wrong.
Exactly.
I think it's like massively detrimental. And I can prove that it's massively detrimental when things are wrong, because the hobby has like a year or less, like lifespan for most people that come into it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the people that are here that have been following for years, they're like fully invested. Whereas, generally speaking, I don't think that someone who is a beginner, I might be wrong, is going to be listening to this podcast like thinking about what. Look, they might. I don't know. But I just think I don't know where I was going with that. I've just lost my train of thought. But it's gone. What did I say? I literally just left my head. Sometimes I wonder if I've got Alzheimer's. I'm not even joking.
We were talking about what kind of reef you are and if you're lazy and buying an acro. And
yeah. Oh, yes. Where it's detrimental. Yes, that's it. I think that like you need to have a certain level, a certain number of wins under your belt before you can. Is it under your belt or on your belt? I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, under your belt.
Before you try some of those things, because if you go, I'm going to buy an acro and it's my first car and it dies, you don't want to be in the hobby much longer, do you? It's as simple as that. And the learning curve for this hobby is just it's pretty steep as it is.
You need when it's depressing and you're in your first years. What you were saying is, And if everything keeps going wrong, you need the wins to keep you going. Because if everything goes wrong, sod it. I'm going to set up everything. I'm fed up with this. It's not fun when things are going wrong at all. If it's constantly going wrong, you need stuff to be. It doesn't matter if you're like 2 steps back, 3 steps up, but if it's 2 steps back, 2 steps back, 2 steps back, it's not good.
We are both in this hobby still because we had small incremental wins at the beginning. I guarantee you. Like you might have had bigger incremental wins at the beginning, but there is not a chance that people have like significant losses that they're still here, unless they're like either a psychopath and they just love throwing money away. But that's the thing. That's like this hobby is built on small incremental wins, and buying the wrong stuff, you're up against it already.
Is the opposite.
Yes.
Large incremental defeats.
Losses, yeah.
Catastrophic losses.
And this, like, it's hard enough with the microscopic things like diatoms and cyano and dinoflagellates and things like that, without giving yourself a headache with difficult corals at the beginning as well. So that's my point. At your skill level, that was what I was trying to get. A roundabout way of saying it.
So I said, does it fit with the kind of reef you are? Because if you're lazy, don't try acros, don't try, or more to the point, don't try expensive corals.
Yeah.
Just because you can get just as much pleasure out of a galaxia than you've got a torch. It's not quite true, but you know what I mean. You'll get more pleasure out of a galaxia that is alive than a torch that is dead.
Some of I have a customer that never tests his water ever in years, just does not do it. He does water changes occasionally, but he just never ever tests his water. And I even suggested once, just out of pure intrigue, I'm like, just give me your water, I want to test it myself.
Yeah.
Just because, and his tank looks amazing.
Yeah,
but it's all soft coral, and he knows that. He goes, this is what I'm happy with. I don't need this. Suits my life. I know that I'm not great because I'm not testing the water, but it doesn't matter, because I only want this. And I'm not saying that you don't have to test the water if you have soft corals, but for whatever reason, his maintenance schedule works for him. Does he lose a coral every now and then? Probably. I don't know. But yeah, true. Who doesn't? But that suits him. Basically, that suits his lifestyle. So that's exactly what you're saying.
It's exactly, and he's doing it right, because he's choosing. He's not going out spending £1,000 on torch corals and gunnies that look amazing for a day and then die.
Probably about 20 of my customers just went, "Is he talking about me?" Because a few of them know that they don't test enough.
There's so many times when you and I say something on the live stream, and I think to myself, I guarantee there's a dozen people thinking, I bet he's talking about me. And the reality is, if we're talking generically, that's a specific example. If we're talking generically, almost certainly not talking about you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Might have just been made up because it was a good point.
Almost certainly, this is kind of this. You've kind of did this before. Size and adult size, I put, and actually that's just from last week for fish.
Yeah. I think you're just being lazy, aren't you?
No, I meant to
that was the first one with regards to long-term growth. So I'm not giving you that one. You need to come up with another one.
I'm scratching that. The next one is kind of from last week as well. I kept this one in because
there's a really easy one that you're not going for.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to delete that one. It was feeding needs because some corals do.
That was a good one. That was a good one. I think that's a good one because we can talk about. So
patronising, isn't it? Oh, well done, bald bastard.
No, look, what I'm saying is it's valuable, like, to discuss this because this is something that comes up on the consultations all the time. Which means if it comes up on those select group of people that are talking to me, there must be thousands of people that think it.
So I was thinking in terms of if you're going to don't buy a sun coral. What's it called? Non-photosynthetic.
Sun coral,
Sun coral, yeah. There's another word I was thinking. Anyway, don't buy a coral that cannot eat light, non-photosynthetic. It must be fed. Again, if you're not going to feed it. And this is not just if you're going to feed it 3 times a week. If you're not going to feed it every day for the rest of your life, and then when you go away on holiday, that you don't go away for a holiday for more than a week because your fish sitter isn't going to do that for you. So that was the main thing I was thinking of. But were you thinking of actually feeding corals generally?
I just think it's an important point that corals generally don't need to be fed. And I know we've made this point before, but I think 100%. It comes up on the conversations all the time. Remember, I'm speaking to lots and lots of beginners that are getting their first corals, that are getting their first tanks and things like that. And it's like one of the things I see all the time is people go, I bought this because I was told to buy this for this toadstool. And I'm like, no, that isn't how it works. And it's the reason it has like a little bone of contention with me is that I think it's actually doing harm. If you're putting food in the tank for a coral which is not eating it, you are polluting your tank. And it's hard enough, as I said, to do this hobby without accidentally polluting your tank because you're told that you need to feed a toadstool. And do you know why? What else annoyed me? I was that person. My first corals were sold to me with coral food.
Oh, really?
They were.
First coral?
The first corals I ever bought were sold to me with coral food.
That's mental.
And I understand why, because it's a good thing for, like, anything where you can do an additional sale is great for a shop. It is. It's good. It's good for, like, it's good. It's upselling, isn't it? I bought a coral. I bought coral food. Like,
yeah, but it's bad to sell someone something that not only do they not need, but that actually will harm them.
That's why I thought it was a good point, because, like, and people are always shocked by this when I tell them, I don't feed the coral farm anything other than the food that the fish get.
Fish poo.
And they get like 15 cubes of mysis and some pellets, and that is it. I don't feed them anything else other than the light that they have. So if I have a 4,000 litre coral farm, and there'll be plenty of people there, if any of you have coral food and you don't have a non-photosynthetic coral, you probably don't need it.
But the problem with this is that because there's lots of, you can do a bit of research and it doesn't take long to realize that actually corals, I think the accepted scientific percentage is 85% of their nutrition they get from light.
Yes.
But there are some things that they can't get from light, like amino acids and these sorts of things.
I agree.
And trace elements actually that they can get from eating, so, and various things that they can't get from just light. But so that's the theory is actually, well, my corals are losing out on this 15%. I didn't want that, and they can't get it from elsewhere. But actually, they can get it from your fish food. There's lots of stuff in the fish food that gets in there and doesn't get eaten by your fish. But also, I've forgotten the other thing I was going to say, but it was probably quite.
There is an exception to this. I think that, like, don't get me wrong, corals will grow faster, and I actually think coral food is actually more for the experienced reefer than a beginner. Just be tanned. We liked it when you were tanned. For those people listening on the podcast, Alex is currently cycling through his lights.
Here we go.
No, I preferred you when you were tan. I think that I would say that coral food is probably for people that have big tanks, not necessarily big, but like tanks that have lots of coral in them. And also ones that have nutrient deficiencies, because plenty of people have that as well these days.
But the second part of what I was going to say is that you'll first off, the theory is there corals can only get 85% of their food, their nutrition needs from light, so therefore I should feed. But also you'll then go and you'll watch someone like Reef Dudes who feeds his acans, or Worldwide Corals who feed their corals, or Tide Gardens who feed their corals, and you're like, these guys are like years into the hobby, peak of the hobby, basically.
Yeah.
Their corals look amazing, therefore it must be because of that. But actually the reality is that's like the cherry on top of the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Actually, for most people, especially if you're trying to work out the hobby, feeding corals is not a good thing.
Yeah, there you go.
And if you've got more corals, I think your theory is that you've got you've got more corals to soak up the food, basically.
Yeah, because if you've got one toadstool and you're putting in the recommended amount, because they don't do a recommended amount based on corals, they do a recommended amount based on tank size.
Yeah,
or water volume. So you've got one toadstool and you're putting like 2 spoons of, I can't remember what there's different ones in there. And the other thing is powdered foods are really dense. It's the same as powdered or pellet food. So if you're putting a powder in, that's really that's you're like doubly polluting your tank.
What's that stuff called? Phosphate in a tub. It's the brown powder.
There's a few of them that's brown. Benny Pets do one. Polyp Lab is another one.
Polyp Lab. Yeah, it's Polyp Lab.
There's a few different ones. As I said,
Oh
yeah, that's it. Yes.
Sorry.
I just think
stuff, but man, it's got a lot of phosphate.
And the other thing is, if you have to like mix it up properly, because if you just pour it in, it's going to overflow.
Exactly.
So, my original one, I think it's still around. It was like this stuff that came in a bottle that you squeeze the bottle. No, it came with a syringe, and you put the syringe in the bottle, and you drew out this like orange stuff. I can't remember what it was. I think it is still around. And weirdly, it smelled all right. You'd assume that sort of thing would smell terrible. Isn't it funny? That's what I remember.
That's weird, yeah. But that's like Red Sea Reef Energy. One of their brilliant things they did, and when I say brilliant, I mean from a marketing point of view, was they put the yellow dye in it. So that when it goes in your tank, it looks fluorescent. It looks really cool, and so it's satisfying for you. But that's literally a dye, apparently.
Is it?
Not, yeah.
It has no use. It's not like
the coral food has use. The stuff that's
no. What I mean is like there's not like a vitamin which is causing that color. That is actually a dye.
Apparently not. Who was the guy? The Chinese guy. He's brilliant. He's an acro guy. Dong. I saw a live stream with him, and that's what he said. Yeah. He's
clever.
He's a literal scientist, but exactly, yeah. When you put it in your tank, it looks amazing, especially when you got blue lights on. So people are like, do that more.
And you can see it goes all over your corals, can't you?
Yeah.
And you see it like
corals react. So it's all right. It must be doing something. But and there are times when it's worth doing it, when it's worth feeding corals, especially if they're not doing well and they need recovering. But even then, if you're gonna do that, it's better to target feed them. Like if you've got acans or whatever. Or scullies are the best example because they eat pellets. Target feed them.
That was what I was going to say. If you're going to feed something, target feed it.
Yeah.
Like
two reasons. One, you're not going to pollute the rest of your tank so much. But two, because it's a pain in the arse, you won't do it all the time. So you won't.
Yeah, true. I also, if you're going to target feed corals, like I personally think that you should use mysis or something like that rather than. I think you use pellets, don't you?
Dongzi, that's it. For I use LPS. The Vitalis LPS pellets. But I bought the smallest tub they sell.
Yeah.
And I like it. Every time I buy a new one, it's not because I've run out. It's because it's gone past its sell-by date.
I'm saying you really don't use it very often.
Hardly use any.
Yeah. I just think because that's the other thing when you are target feeding, if you're feeding big pellets, sometimes the coral will throw it up. Or sometimes they start to go like rotten inside the coral. But I wonder if that's like because the coral's unhappy as it is. Because if it has the ability to expel any excess food, why would it not just do that? Why would it just allow it to rot inside?
Because that's the other thing. Although it can be a good idea to feed unhealthy corals. If you're like, if you've got a sick animal and you're just ramming food into its mouth,
Yeah, it's
like,
stop dropping these things on me.
Sod off, please, and just leave me alone. Putting it in a low area light is probably a better idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, what you got?
I'm just taking a drink when you say that. I've gone for contrasting colors because I think that's important. I think our reef tanks are like art, and one of the biggest complaints people give to me is people do this and they're not allowed to do this, and I usually ignore them. They send me a message going, "I've just bought a mystery box from you. Can you make sure there's no green corals in there?" I'm like, that is not what a mystery box is.
Mystery box, yeah. So.
The other thing is, you know how you have all green corals? 90, not 90, probably like 80% of my corals are also green because 80% corals are green.
Corals are, yeah.
So it's,
you want to find a green or a red coral, piece of cake. You want any other color?
Yeah.
A bit more
so I think that when it comes to selecting corals, contrasting colors to make things look interesting is one of the things that most people seem to request of me, I would say. Shapes as well, texture, I think makes a difference.
That's it. So I've put what variety do they add? Color contrast / movement. So
I've got movement.
Yeah, exactly. So are they swaying around? Thanks very much. Someone in the chat just said, "Oh, it's beer time," because they saw me calling for a beer. It's orange juice time.
This is how you can tell he's sick.
I'm not really sick, but just don't want a beer. But yeah, so movement as well, because you do want that variety. Same with the fish. You want varieties of colors and areas they occupy. You want variety. If you've got, that's the one thing that I don't like about acro tanks, and part of the reason people put torches in acro tanks is because they're all static, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Growth patterns and all that. But if you've got an LPS tank with like hammer corals that have got little jiggly movements, and then gonnies and torches that have got swaying tentacles, and then encrusting corals like favias, all these sorts of things, there's a massive variety, and that makes such a difference. If it's all the same, like a tank, have you ever seen a tank before just hammer corals? It's actually quite boring. They're kind of cool, but it's nowhere near as cool as.
I know what you mean. It's usually, and I don't think it's not the color and the sway that makes it less boring. It's the fact that it's usually like a dome of hammer corals, where they've all sort of grown in that pattern. There's no like structure to it.
No, and they don't really move like torch corals move. So they sway.
Yeah, true.
They just kind of like gently sway. But
yeah, I agree with you there.
So yeah, I've put. Oh no, actually, have I just deleted? Yeah, I have. Yeah. Contrast. Yeah, but color contrast as well. And that makes it a little bit more difficult. I tried to put, and the color wheel, if you do color calculator or color wheel, put that into Google, it will come up with it's for everything, for like if you're choosing to paint your room or what trousers to wear with what t-shirt or I don't know, whatever.
It's easy. When I did my room, everything's like black, white, and brown, isn't it?
Like your fish tank.
Yeah, true.
But so if you've got something, so red goes well with green. Red stands out well next to green. Is it purple and orange that go well? I can't even remember that. But you look up the color wheel and put brightly contrasting colors next to each other, then your quids in. That makes a big difference. Purple and green look really good next to each other. So that's really helpful, because if you end up with, in my last tank, my Red Sea Peninsula, I ended up with so many corals that were I sold that massive island to you, didn't I? Because they were all green. Though it was a Monte Undata,
a
Cali Tort, basically, and a load of corals that were basically 50 shades of green to blue.
I remember. I remember getting that massive piece out of the tank.
Yeah, that's it. Individually, they're all really nice corals, but when you put them all together, it's just this massive like meh. So you want the contrast, and particularly of color, but also of movement, that sort of stuff. What's your next one?
I have gone for price, and there is price obviously I think makes a big difference to people. But I think there is a difference between price and value with regards. Do you understand what I mean?
Tell me. I've got one other criteria next to cost as well. But
okay. So price is obviously it can be a good or bad price when people are selecting, both based on the individual coral, but also like your own budget. So I've never bought a coral which is like £200 for myself. I have them in the farm, Never. I was I was always too nervous to kill something. I think my most expensive coral before I had the coral farm was like £160. I think that was it, and it was a trackie, and I think I killed it. It was a pink one, and I had a green one, and the green one was fine, and then I bought this pink one, and it just didn't do well for whatever reason, which just happens, doesn't it? I look back now, it was probably like a freshly imported one, which just it was probably like half bleached and whatever. But so price is one thing, value is another. There are some really nice corals which are cheap, and there are some very average corals which are very expensive. Do you see what I mean?
Trumpet corals, 15 quid for a head. Absolutely. The bright green one, the toxic green one, stunning coral, look amazing. They glow so bright, and equally you can spend 200 quid on a gold torch. It's just a boring brown torch, even under blue lights.
But this is what I mean. The most expensive torch I ever sold was £700 for it was a gold. It had multiple heads. It was some fancy gold one. Like, I didn't even know what it was, but the person knew what it was and they wanted it, and it was that much.
But that's different to what I'm talking about, because sometimes that's a good example though, because some corals are 700 quid. That's not good value for
that's exactly what I mean. And that was only that price because at the time it was like the peak of the torch craze. And I knew that I had a specific customer which I knew liked fancy torches, and he didn't have this one. And I was like, "Do you want this one?" And he went, "Yep, I'll take it." And I went, "This is how much it is." And he went, "Yep, not a problem." So, but if I said to you, "I've got this torch coral, Alex. It's got 3 heads on it. Do you want it? It's £700." You're going to go, "What?"
Yeah.
Yes. Do you see what I mean? So that's not good value. So I think people don't buy on value quite often. Like, people want something that's
all the time.
That's named, I think.
Yeah, that's very true.
I think
actually that's one thing. I was going to say this at some point, but I bet, and it's not on my list, I bet it's not on your list. Name of coral is not on. It's not one of the criteria. Don't matter. And actually, one of the things I've put is, do you like it? It doesn't matter if the internet likes it. Do you like it?
Loads of people come to the farm and they come and, like, when they're collecting, and they go, "Oh, I really like that. Has it got a name?" And I'm like, "Nope." And then they go, "Oh," and they move along. I'm like, "Do you like it or not?"
So to be fair, I asked the name, but that doesn't influence my decision. I'll choose something I like, and then I'm like, "How much is it? What's it called?" But
are you asking what it's called
because of the price? Because
are you asking what's it called based on the species, or are you asking what's it called based on has it got a fancy name?
Everything. Because to be fair, cost, the other element I've got into cost is cost/fraggability. Because if I've got a coral, if I've got an acro, if I buy a tenuis, and it's a rainbow tenuis, I might be able to sell a frag for 20 quid. If it's a Walt Disney, as stupid as it sounds, I might be able to sell a frag for 100 quid. And suddenly, I don't mind paying 200 quid for frag all of a sudden, because in a year's time, I'll be able to make that money back.
Or in a week's time, it might be dead if it's dangerous.
Exactly. But even with torches, the same thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If you've got a torch, and if you can keep it alive, and that's a big if, then spending 700 quid on it on day one, if it's still alive in 5 years' time, cha-ching!
My first bounce mushroom was 800. Actually, no, technically it was for the farm, wasn't it? But my first bounce mushroom was, I think, it was £850. So when I said, but again, that wasn't for my tank, if you see what I mean. That was for growing, and it worked. Like, so it was definitely, this was obviously a long time ago, and I bought all of them. I bought the OG, the Sun-Kissed, but so you're right, fraggability makes a massive difference, but you have to have absolute balls of steel if you're going in that side of the hobby.
It doesn't. It shouldn't be. It's not an issue for. I don't, especially with LPS corals, because they take so long to grow. I don't really think about it.
Yeah.
But with SPS, I used to at certain times. But I wouldn't really. It's not. This is like 5th thing on the list. If I'm choosing a coral, the only time that comes into it really is if it's really expensive, and I think, well, I can't really afford that. If I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But in 6 months' time, a year's time, it'll start to pay for itself. So that's when the fraggability comes into it for me.
See, we're different on that, and I think it's because of the business. Like, my first thought is, can I grow this? Can I keep it alive? And can I frag it? And that's even when I'm at the wholesale, that's how I pick corals as well. Like,
whenever you come to my house and you look at my tank, I can tell that's the way you're looking at it. It makes me feel dirty.
I'm like, whoa, yeah.
No, get off.
It's and there's definitely some corals which are, so I would buy Alveopora all day long. If you got different color variations of Alveopora, I want it. They're like the easiest things to frag. Goniopora, however, hit and miss. Sometimes you'll lose half the frags for some you're like, why? I fragged all of these exactly the same. This half has survived. This half hasn't. Why? Because I did the same thing for both of them. They both went in iodine and everything. So how easy it is to frag definitely has a massive impact for me. I know that if I frag a Goni, there's a possibility I might lose some of it. I know if I frag a Goni Astria, you can frag them right down to individual eyes. They are totally fine. So
there you go. I'm going to interrupt briefly. We interrupt this program to bring you an important announcement because so there's no news this week, but I feel like we might run out of time. So I'm going to do member questions.
Okay.
So we'll have to come back to where we were, and I will remember. First one is from, this is actually relevant, apropos. It's from VRX3 Nick, who says, which corals are safe to put next to each other on a garden without them stinging each other? Examples like zoas. That's a broad question is the problem. But if you've got all the same corals, all the same torches, they'll be okay. Gonies, mostly will be okay. But the trouble is, things like the reason I'm hesitating there is because some corals, like we might call a coral a chalice, but actually it's not a chalice. It's a Echinopora, or it's a different kind of coral. So we think of them the same thing, but actually they're not. So you do have to be a little bit careful. And the honest answer is it's mostly trial and error. You can do, or not mostly, you can do your research. And if you're putting hammer corals together, hammer next to frog spawn or whatever, no problem whatsoever. Don't put them next to a torch. But a lot of corals you can do a bit of research. Will this live next to this? Just a bit of Googling. But a lot of the time it is trial and error. And it's like, well, how will this get on? Let's find out.
People used to think that you could keep torches you could keep all three of them together. That was like a common thing that people thought. And I just think to myself, how was that ever a thing? Because it's so clearly obvious when occasionally sometimes the torches will spread too far and they'll start like touching the frog spawn in the air. I'm like, it's as clear as anything that this thing is killing this. How did this myth like start that you could keep all three together?
We thought they were Euphilia. I think actually torches are Euphilia and hammers are Fimbria.
Yeah, I think
Fimbria. I think I got that the right way around. So actually, we used to think that hammers and torches and all that lot were all Euphilia.
I know, but you only have to put them next to each other to realize within like half an hour that something's not right.
Well, that's when stupidity comes in. You're like, well, it must be fine because they're Euphilia. It must be something else.
But you're basically what you've said is correct. Pretty much anything that is clearly the same. Like I am pretty sure that Gonioporas are multiple different subspecies of Goniopora. I'm like 99% certain of that because some of them you can put together and some of them will kill each other, and it's just trial and error.
Even with corals so Bernoporas and Gonies don't mix. I find. I found my burgundy Goni that's currently sulking for now. I've had that for literally years, like 5-6 years, and now it's pissed off. But it's never anyway. That is growing quite big, and that won the battle against my Iron Man Bernard Pora. Which itself is quite an aggressive coral. So
I know, I agree.
Anyway, point is, it's a bit trial and error, but the same kind of coral usually good. So acans, put them together, no problem. But even then, zoas, you put them together. If you put 5 on an island, they'll look wicked for 6 months, and then you'll end up with one taking over all of them. So
I think that depends mostly on the size of the more, like there are definitely some which grow faster than others, but I think if you put the small ones with the big ones, that definitely is a recipe for disaster because usually the big ones shade out the small ones.
I had an island of about 7 different types of zoas, including laser lemons, which were the smallest, and the laser lemons.
Really? Interesting.
But they can be a bit hit and miss, but they can work together. But
it just depends on how long you want. Like it's the same with anything in our tanks though. If you leave it long enough, like anything will outgrow each other. The corals were not designed to be in little boxes.
No, they were designed to be in 7,000 feet of space in the ocean. But anyway, so it's a bit hit and miss, but you can always do a bit of Googling, and the same corals, the same type of coral will generally go together, with exceptions like I would never try chalices.
No, don't try chalices. Don't try gonnies. I would say those are the two main ones where it's too ambiguous because you're not sure.
And the other question is, this is from So Reef. I want to try to mimic more natural lighting, and he's setting up a new tank. Probably what I want are metal halides, but do you think Kessel might come close to achieving the same look if turned to a whiter spectrum? Ryan, you like light chat. What do you think?
I've zoned out already.
He's already fallen asleep.
I was actually thinking. You know how I've been thinking this since you sent the he's not sent since you requested something to drink. I was like, I might get Rachel to order me a pizza, and then I'd have it. If I order it now, it will be delivered as the live stream ends, which is like perfect. I wanted to do it like secretly, but without you realizing, and then you
Let
just
me talk
like
about lights in that case.
Yeah, true.
So Kessel, they can go. The only reason I'm pausing on Kessel is because the slide is a color slider that you can make it white or blue, and you can't split out all of the color channels. I think you can split out violet and ultraviolet and maybe red and green, but I think that's it. You can't split out the white channels. So I think a better bet would be they would be awesome because Kessels look amazing. The color looks great anyway, and the shimmer looks great and does kind of mimic metal halides, but not really. The shimmer lines on metal halides are massive, proper ocean-like, whereas Kessel is different. But I would get something like Ryan's GHL lights that you can split out the color channels completely. Radions, I think you can do that as well. But actually, no, I wouldn't. I'd get Kessels because they're awesome.
There you go. I managed to keep myself entertained while you were talking about lighting.
There you go.
So I sent her a text message, which she probably won't read because I think she's playing Grand Theft Auto. So
okay. But what you could do is buy a second-hand Kessel and then try it, and if you don't like it, sell it for the same money you bought it for. But I don't like it as light as white as you do, Chris. So I can't guarantee you'll agree with me. Right, we were talking about cost/fraggability. I think we just finished that, haven't we?
Yes.
So the next one on my list was difficulty/hardiness, but I'm pretty sure we've done that.
Yeah, I had pests. I think
it's not on my list.
I think it's something that you should definitely be looking at. Again, it's one of those things. There's some things that stand out to me where I almost feel bad because I was in a place, like I was in a fish shop basically, and I witnessed someone purchasing something which had a serious pest on it, and they didn't notice. I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been like, I think it's hadroids or something like that. I think they're one of the ones that are like really quite different. Yeah, something like that. And I witnessed someone buying a coral which had that on, and you know when you want to step in, but you also can't step in because you're like you'll get banned from every fish shop you ever go to. and it's also like it's the responsibility of the person who's like buying the coral to know what they're buying. It teaches them a lesson to some extent, which sounds terrible.
No, but that's how you learn,
yeah. There were two times where one was with a fish, which I've said many times, but then this was another one. I think, and when I do the consultations, like I make sure people know what pests are, like to look out for. Remember, these are early beginners, and how many people go, "Oh, I've got this Aptasia. Look how amazing it is," and people are like, "You don't know what that is, do you?" So, I think knowing pests before you select corals is important. Do I think that some corals are more prone to pests in a way where you should avoid them? Not really. It's not like white spot with tangs, if you see what I mean. But I can't think of one that I would go, yeah, you want to stay away from that because of that.
There are some things like there are some pests that will only eat a certain type of coral, but that doesn't, like Monty eating nudibranchs, but that doesn't mean that Monties are more likely to get pested than a hammer coral, which might get eaten by a flatworm, for example.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Or Zoa eating spiders or whatever,
Yeah. And the other thing I think people don't look out for enough is algae as well. There's plenty of algae that are a pain in the ass that come in from the ocean that people don't realize what they're putting in their tank. Because once it, like, knowing what it is like where they say prevention is better than cure, isn't it?
Yep.
So there's certain things that people should know before buying corals, pests and algae. If you know what they are, you won't buy them, and then you won't have any trouble within reason.
Yeah, this is true. I don't ever get put off. Maybe I do. Buying corals because there's algae on it on the frag plug.
Depends what type of algae it is. If it's some weird ones that you're like, I'm
Yeah,
not sure I've seen this before.
that's mostly because my fish is just going to eat it straight away. As soon as you put it in the tank, they'll be over and pecking at it. But yeah, you don't. The only algae isn't like bacteria. Just somehow appears in your tank, doesn't it? You throw in a shrimp, and it turns out there was bacteria on it already, or something. How did it? I've got no idea how it works. But algae, you need to introduce it. If you don't ever introduce it, you don't have it.
Yeah.
With the nasty ones, anyway. I'm sure there's some. Like bubble algae is a good example of stuff that goes into your tank because you put it in there. That didn't just come out of nowhere.
I think bryopsis, is way worse than bubble algae.
Yeah, there's not really any fix for it. Oh, actually, probably things like fluorescence or something. But I think it's one of the really fiddly ones.
It is, yeah. Bubble algae, I'd say, is relatively easy because with well, yeah, that's another thing where people thought that no fish used to eat it, but tangs eat it all the time. And what's the crabs? Mithrax crabs.
Emerald,
yeah, emerald crabs. Yeah. I found them to be incredibly useful. Emerald crabs.
Yeah, I've got one in my main tank. I had it in the cade because I had bubble algae in there.
Do you ever see it?
So I see it at night when I put the red torch on.
No.
Apart from that, very rare. Okay, I've seen it a couple of times during the day, but no, always hiding. Which is a good thing. You said I was watching back because I'm going to make a video about the top 20 fish or whatever. I watched back the one that we did, and you said that purple tangs were really good at eating bubble algae.
Yeah, and also powder blue tang as well are the two that I found eat it really well. I wouldn't advise a powder blue tang to anyone. No. Like, I just wouldn't. They're just a pain in the ass. Yeah. Purple tangs are fine, but powder blues are just a nightmare, in my opinion.
Growth pattern. I think that came under variety, actually.
Yeah, and aesthetics.
Table branch. Yeah. So we'll get rid of that one. I've got one more left. What have you got?
There are two really, which one of them they don't really apply. Like I did tank maturity. Now do the corals care about the maturity of your tank really? See, I think that there is something, but I've started a tank full of coral on day one. I don't. It's like I have contradicting first-hand evidence that it doesn't matter, but it feels like it should.
The thing is, I think that I'm going to be I'm working on a beginner series.
Yeah,
I just need to work out what to call it basically. But this
beginner
is
series.
Yeah. No, I need to get it so it's a bit more sexy than that. But anyway, it was that when we did a live stream when we talked about the coral recovery checklist, and these are the things that you need to work through. And it was just like, look, stop pissing around with trace elements and feeding your corals. Get your flow right. Put an auto top, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And this came under that as well. And I've forgotten what did you say?
I've crossed out now. What did I say? This is what I mean. Maturity, tank maturity.
Maturity, yeah, and that tank maturity was part of this because if you or I set up a tank tomorrow, we'd probably put corals in maybe day one, certainly in the first week or so.
Yeah.
And actually, I moved over an entire rock covered in coral, including gunnies, to my main tank.
Sorry, that just went over my head. You think that I would put coral in on day one? Have you seen the water box? It's like 2 years old.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You're taking it real slow. Yeah. But we probably would put it on early on. Yeah. But that's because I think you and I will monitor it. We know what signs to look for. We'll be testing. And we'll know how to react, and we'll know what things are happening. If you don't know any of that, and this is your first time, you're not prepared. You're not prepared to deal with what happens. And there's all sorts of stuff going on in a new tank. But even if you know what you're doing, and even if you're testing and all this sort of stuff, can throw everything all over the place. 100%. So it's just time to build up like a backlog of nutrients and just everything that's going on. It's always for a beginner. It's never a good idea to start wanging in corals from day one.
It's funny
you can do it. It is possible, and I do it. But
and I obviously did it as well, but. I didn't. It's funny because I've told you that bit, but I didn't tell you the next bit. I had like a mega bacterial bloom when I did that. So it worked, but obviously because it's a sterile tank where there's no bacteria in it, all of a sudden one of the bacteria went and like exploded, and the water just went milky white. So it can it be done? Yes. Is it an easy path? Not really.
But you know how to fix that.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. If this is your first time and that happens,
yeah,
you're just like, what the hell? And how the
yes,
hell do you identify that? You probably
yeah,
Google it and find out after a while, but
yeah.
you could easily go down the wrong way. That's what I'm talking about. But all right, so maturity. How many others have you got?
I would say that's probably it. Really, there's one other which I think is, and I think this does make a difference. And you'll think that I'm saying, and I think it's vendor reputation. I think who you're buying from. I know you'd laugh at that. I think who you're buying from makes a difference.
We were talking earlier about there'll be like a dozen people who are like, I bet he's talking about me. Who are you talking about, Ryan? Which vendor are you talking about?
No, yeah. Look, you can go into a shop and go like, "This is an amazing shop," or you can go to the shop and go, "Bloody hell, has anyone looked after this coral tank in weeks?" So that makes a big difference. The things you should look for in coral trays, you should look for what fish are in the coral tray. Are there wrasse in the coral tray? Are there tangs in the coral tray? Is there a cockban in the coral tray? Because those things tell me that the person who runs the shop is actively doing things to help and make. No one can guarantee that there'll be no pests. It's just people do try and guarantee it. I would look. I don't want to upset anyone, but I'm like, when people say I have fully quarantined, totally pest-free coral, I just don't think that people realistically are like actually doing that. Do you agree or disagree? Like as a shop.
As a shop. Oh, as a shop.
Yes.
Shops are too busy. If you're running a shop, you've got and you're keeping it immaculate and pest-free.
Yeah. One of my customers comes here every 3 months to buy coral because he does a 3-month quarantine on every coral.
Wow.
So if you're doing that, that's what it takes. If you see what I mean, that's a long time to be holding on to coral as a shop. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I just think, and they might have select tanks where they do some corals or whatever, but I would think it would be pretty difficult to do. So
yeah, I'm sure it's theoretically possible, but most people won't be able to do that.
Yeah, which means you then have to look at the next level down. What's the best thing that can be done? Now you'll never know if the shop is dipping the corals before they go in, or they dip on a regular basis because you won't see it. They'll do it at night time. But what you can see is if they've got fish in there to try to help. So, and in my opinion, that makes a difference.
My last one is, does it look good under your lights? And what I mean by that is some people run all blue lights.
Yep.
And if you run blues the whole day and you're buying a blue mushroom coral, you might as well just throw money away.
Basically, any blue coral, turbinarias, blue war corals, they're all the same. They only look good under white light.
Exactly. And a lot of corals don't fluoresce. So if you're buying a coral that is to go in a blue light tank and it doesn't fluoresce, you might as well not bother. I've got a purple gonny with like yellow centers. It's a really nice coral, but as soon as the lights start going blue in the evening,
it just looks dark, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It still looks dark under white lights, to be fair. You've got to look close at it. It's a connoisseur's coral. Most people, 99% of people who come into my house wouldn't glance twice at that.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, it's nice. But if you've got something like that and your tank is always blue, or if your tank is always white, then there's no point going for particularly fluorescent corals.
I wonder why some corals fluoresce and some don't, especially from the same species. There's plenty of gonnies that do fluoresce.
Evological reason has led to that? Or?
Yeah, well, I assume that the fish there might be. Why would the fish be attracting? We're running out of time to go into this, but like, why do some gonnies fluoresce and some don't? What's the difference? What's the benefit?
Well, they have fluorescent proteins.
Amy Craggs, he might know.
Yeah. Well, they have fluorescent proteins, don't they? Because fluorescence it absorbs light and sends it back.
Yeah, but they obviously don't need them if the species can have both different with and without.
I've got halfway through the explanation and I don't understand, and I've exhausted my scientific knowledge. But there's what's it called? Serious Reefs. BRS Ryan has done talks on that a few times. He's talked about it a few times, and it's not that complicated. But yeah, I don't know. Why have corals developed that?
No facts here ever, are there?
Because they want to end up in our tanks. That's what it is. Because
True.
they knew blue LEDs were coming, and they were like, "I'm going to get ready."
There you go.
And that is it. That's fantastic. So that is I don't know how many criteria there were. 15, something like that, probably between us. There you go. 15. Very good. There's no news, but there is a Prestige Reef Coral of the Week and a Prestige Reef Fish of the Week. Ryan.
The coral of the week I am going for this week is blueberry pie zoas.
Coral.
And the reason I'm going for these is, again, it's one of those corals where I've got all these different zoas, but everyone goes, "Oh, what are those blue ones?" Because they are that bright. There's plenty of like blue, like for whatever reason, these do stand out under blue light, but I think it's probably more the green and the blue contrast.
Yeah.
But those, like I have blue zoas and then I have those, and those are the ones that stand out far above all the other ones.
They look a bit like a nicer version of LA Lakers to me.
No, yeah, LA Lakers blue or yellow. How do I just say no? You're totally wrong.
Yellow purple.
There is not a single person that's going to say they look like LA Lakers.
LA Lakers zoas. All right,
they're not even close. It's not even close.
Kind of a reversey Percy. All right,
I was going to say they're almost the opposite.
yeah, reversey Percy. Yeah.
So yeah, but as I said, they're a really popular one. For some reason they grow really slowly for me. So when it's hard because people go, "Oh, can I have some of those?" And I'm like, I literally have 2 frags left. I have to keep these. Yeah. And the prices have probably come down now, but they were, I think it was like £30 a polyp when I first got them. So, but yes, those are my. I don't know why they grow slower. That's another thing. I'd be interested to know why some zoas grow faster than others. But
yeah,
probably just different types, different areas. And very quickly, for the fish of the week, I have decided to pick a skunk tile fish because I wanted to pick a fish that I have no interest in, but maybe some people would. Do you like this fish?
I'm happy for it.
I thought you might like this fish.
No, they're a bit funny looking.
You got like weird fish.
That's cool. The quality marine picture, unsurprisingly. But it's a bit boring to me.
I think you have an unusual fish taste, and I thought this might be like the sort of thing that you do like. But they're a pain. They are super finicky, and every time you go near the tank, not always, but some of them, they were like, if you go near the tank, they'll try and jump out.
Yeah,
like tile fish are an absolute pain in the ass.
Have you seen those? Oh, this is the cool one, the Iranian one. I quite like them actually.
I've thought about having that as the fish sleeve, and I was like, no, I don't want to just pick one that's like 250 pounds or something. I'm just going to pick a normal one.
Yeah.
But why do you like that one?
Because it's got kind of blue spot jawfish vibes, but it's still got a boring face. No offense, mate.
I don't like any tile fish. I actually think all tile fish look weird in a tank.
Have you seen the psychedelic tile fish that it's this one actually?
Is it the one that changes color? Yeah.
Changes. Yeah. But apparently they change color and once, and then that's it. You're never going to see that again.
Oh, I thought they do it when they're stressed.
Go out a bit or something. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's not like a regular thing.
But it's like a change, like red, blue, green. Yeah, it is insane.
Yeah, it's amazing to look.
If you've not seen it, Google would you say psychedelic
color changing tile? Yeah. I don't know what it's called. Color changing.
I don't think it is a psychedelic. I think it has.
No, it's probably the wrong word. Here we go. Let's have a look. Oh, here we are flashing.
Oh yeah, that's it. You just zoomed in on me.
Look at that yellow. Oh, bollards.
I'm now massive on the screen for some reason.
Here we go. Blue. It's blue. Oh, here we go. Look at that.
Yeah, that's it. That one.
Amazing.
Look at
that. Bright. That does look like a stress response, to be fair.
Yeah, that would be the fish on everyone's list if it wasn't just blue when it's happy.
If it just did that all day long, and that was just what it does when it's happy. Wicked. Sign me up. Yeah. Although they would jump.
I've never seen one. Never ever in all it'll be 19 years now. I think I've been doing this. Never seen one.
I've seen the skunk tilefish and the Iranians. But...
Yeah, but the flashing one.
No, never seen them. Just on the interweb.
Yeah.
That's it. There we go. So we've done everything now, and I'm glad that we didn't have any news because we've run out of time.
Right to the end, yeah.
But there we go. You now know how to choose corals. If you don't agree or you do agree with any of this, if you think we've missed anything or things that are more important or less important, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the comment section. And next week we're going to be back with the definitive list of the best cleanup crew. How many cleanup crews do you think we should have? 10? Top 10?
Yeah, 10's fine. 10. What makes something the best? Are we because
this is going to be a shit one. Sorry. Apologies.
Well, no, I don't know because like we will definitely have different opinions. Some people might go, I love having a sand sifting starfish, and I'll be like, do not buy one of those. They are a terrible choice.
Oh, my brittle star died this week.
Did it? I'm surprised. They live forever.
Serpent star, sorry. I've had it 10 years, more or less anyway. But
it's not because of the salinity thing, is it?
I think that's what it was, because it's disintegrated.
I've got a red one, like a real, like massive. It's like, I'm not joking. It's huge, like the size of a dinner plate. Red one. I've never seen another one. I know you get red serpent starfish, and they're expensive. They're like, I think they're about £100 now. Well, I paid 90 for mine, but I've never seen one at the wholesaler. They must be so rare to get red ones. You see the other ones all the time, like the.
And the irony is, I bet you never see them during the day. So the only time you're going to see them is if you've got a red torch out, and then you can't see them because they're red.
That's true. To be fair, it's in the coral farm. People usually think it's an octopus. People, you got an octopus in here because you just see these legs sticking out. Like, no, not an octopus. But
very good. Well, there you go. Thank you all for joining, guys. Bye.
See you later.